you when you found out you had bipolar disorder?
Unofficially when I was 20, but officially 21.
How did you find out you had bipolar disorder?
My psychiatrist told me over the phone the week after I had escaped from the psychiatric hospital.
How did you escape?
I lied about the situation that ended me up there in the first place.
What ended you up there initially?
Let's just say a series of manic events.
Can you explain what a manic episode is?
Essentially, mania is taking your most outlandish dream combined with your wildest intrusive thought and then acting on it. So basically, when you're manic, it's like a movie and you engage in such surreal and bizarre behavior.
So before you escaped from the hospital, what was the series of manic events?
I was living life to the fullest. I mean, there were no consequences or responsibilities. So basically, it all began with me wearing lingerie in public. I then cheated on my ex, of course, because I was wearing lingerie and feeling myself. Then I hiked a mountain at 5 a.m., smoked a joint on the peak, and felt like God had spoken to me. God to God. I was divinely inspired to start a graphic design podcast and a sticker company on Redbubble. So, with random passion and limited skill, I spent the next few nights sleeplessly creating designs like this.
Why did that end you up in a psychiatric hospital?
I wasn't finished. I was a drama major and I would show up to rehearsals drunk and high out of my mind, even vaping on camera sometimes during virtual readings. My friends truly became concerned when I beckoned a few locals in my college town and some familiar faces for an orgy. It was then that they notified the psychiatrist of my behavior. Although my psychiatrist was trying to get me to voluntarily admit myself that night, I didn't know any better, so I made it my own reason to show up to the hospital. I wildly assumed I'd be given Adderall. So naturally I packed my cat in her travel tote, some gummy edibles in my purse, and called a friend to drive me. Walking into the ER, I yelled for Adderall, my cat and bag were confiscated from me, and I was ushered into a back room.
How long were you in the hospital before you lied your way out?
Less than 48 hours. Impressive, right?
Are you on any medications now?
Oh my God, yes. I'm on 5 medications and I see a psychiatrist and therapist bi-weekly.
So what changed in the week between the hospital and the day your psychiatrist diagnosed you over the phone?
Well, I laundered $30,000 for a stranger on the internet that week, so when legal and financial ramifications came knocking, I was kind of spooked and woken up from my manic episode.
How did you avoid the consequences?
For one, I'm a white woman with mental illness, so legally I have several privilege cards, but financially I took out some sizable loans and am now paying off the debt. Thank you, 2020 Veronica.
You laundered all this money, so what's the most ridiculous thing you bought during your manic episode?
3 things, but they all start with the same letter, so it counts. Corsets, camping gear, and Coke.
You've mentioned this multiple times, so is substance use common with bipolar?
A bipolar will often self-medicate instead of taking their actual medications.
This could result in permanent health complications, development of substance use-related disorders, or lead to habits of addiction that are ultimately unbreakable and financially destructive.
I had to do that because D.A.R.E.
Where does bipolar disorder come from?
So, it's heavily linked to genetics, and it typically appears in an individual's life when they're exposed to sudden change, stress, or traumatic triggers.
What triggered your manic episode?
Whew, the pandemic had just begun. My mom and grandmother were diagnosed with cancer. I was challenging a professor at my university in a harassment case, and my ex just broke up with me. Need I go on? I'm Veronica. I'm BP Betch on YouTube, Bipolar Betch on TikTok, and let's erase the stigma and start laughing at our mistakes.